Well, explosive developments in the sports rorts scandal today after a whistleblower from Bridget McKenzie's own office told Sky News they were silenced when concerns were raised. Now, Miss McKenzie has been under incredible pressure to resign from her frontbench post after an Auditor General report found that this $100 million sports grant program was basically used by the government to hand out cash to sports clubs in marginal seats. Classic pork barrelling, and that was ahead of the 2019 election. Political Editor Andrew Clennell spoke at length with the whistleblower, and he joins me right now. Andrew, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Whoa, what did they have to say to you about how they were treated when they first broached this?
Well, it's a former staffer for Ms McKenzie, who I've spoken to at length, talks about a warning he gave to her then Chief of Staff, saying this could get us in a lot of trouble, the way this is being administered, the loose way it was happening, and was slapped down, in effect, and told, well, this is how the Minister wants it, and that's it. The former staffers told me there were several other staffers who raised concerns. It was after this that the Minister lifted the number of Labor electorates that were receiving grants, but that didn't spare her, as we saw from the Audit Office report, because there were documents within the office saying it was targeted seats and marginal seats, just spelling it out. So when the Audit Office came in, they could see what a fix it was.
Absolutely. Are you able to tell us who in Bridget McKenzie's office, in powers of being an advisor or Chief of Staff, silenced these staffers?
Yes, the Chief of Staff at the time was Richard Hyatt, was his name, and I have attempted to contact him without success. I did get a statement from Ms McKenzie's office saying that she wouldn't be commenting on any conversations between staff, past and present, so no denial there. But it's my understanding that Hyatt was prevailed upon with the clear warning there, which turned out to be true, that this could get us in a lot of strife and lead to a major scandal. The concern of the former staffer I spoke to was the scandal would break before the election. That didn't happen. There was a referral to the Audit Office by the opposition before the election, but it really blew up, as we know, a couple of weeks back when that report was handed down.
OK. How far can we extend this strategy into the Prime Minister's office?
Well, from what I've heard from this former staffer, not that far, and that might surprise a lot of people. Certainly there's a lot of people running around at the moment thinking that Scott Morrison was deeply involved in all of this. It doesn't sound like that. There was a staffer from the Prime Minister's office called Chris Daffy who would liaise with McKenzie's office from time to time, come and check on the progress of the Liberal MPs lobbying for grants, and probably put in a bit of lobbying himself, but he didn't come up with the list, is what I'm told. It was very much McKenzie and her office with this big spreadsheet basically allocating for marginal targeted seats, colour-coded with a coalition and Labor. And, you know, one of the accusations that's come to me is that McKenzie would come back from a visit to a seat and say, we really need to find that electorate a grant, and then the staff would then feed that into the Sport Australia process. That hasn't been denied either. So originally with the report there was a sense that there were 400 or so recommendations from the department for grants. They weren't even accepted by the Minister's office. She said, give us all 2,000 eligible grants, and decided from there. But these allegations go further. They speak to a situation where she's going to a visit to a seat like Solomon in the Northern Territory with the Liberal candidate there, coming back and saying, we need to get this seat something.
So the origination is not from the grant seeker, the origination is from the political party and the Minister.
On a couple of occasions that seems to be the case, and that's a pretty damaging revelation.
OK, Wednesday, National Press Club, the Prime Minister is supposed to clear the air and get moving on other important issues and try and move ahead. This stench will hang over all through Wednesday, I would have thought, because we still haven't got this report, this so-called independent report from the Prime Minister and Cabinet Office.
Yeah, and surprisingly, Thursday's being talked about to me. I would have thought somehow it'd be better to get this out of the way tomorrow, and we'll see. I guess that's possible. It's been said to me that's unlikely. And the delay is said to be the completion of the Gaetjens report itself, because he gave Bridget McKenzie a right of reply and a deadline of Friday afternoon/evening. With a few minutes to spare, McKenzie's office provided the material he needed. So he then has to digest that, apart from the other stuff he's come up with, and that's taking days to report on, apparently.
So he walks straight into the National Press Club, and after he finishes delivering his address, he's going to be splattered with 1,000 very aggressive questions from the floor.
Much easier to get out of the way, isn't it? I guess the strategy from the PM, if that is the case, is he will just keep saying the same answer repeatedly until journalists get sick of asking. You would just get, I'm waiting for the report, I'm waiting for the report, I'm waiting for the report. But it's far from ideal, let's face it. This is supposed to be a scene set of this speech, setting up the year, showing us he has a decisive agenda. And, yeah, I mean, this is hanging in the background. It's a bad situation.
All right, well done with the story, breaking the story today, and thank you for your time.
Thanks.
OK, Andrew Clennell.